Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else in between. Welcome to our inaugural episode of our talk show, The New You. Right? That's right. My name is Frederick, and joining me are subconscious and breakthrough coach Mandd Fernando and lifestyle and fashion coach Nick Issa. Welcome, gentlemen. Now, tonight we're diving headfirst into a topic that touches all of us: self-esteem. And speaking of self-esteem, it's a rather elusive, intangible attribute that can make or break us. From the perspective of many of us in this room right now, self-esteem is what lets us step up and stand tall and just say, hey, I've got this. But what if you're not feeling invincible? What if you're not feeling, what if you're feeling less than confident? Can we turn it around? Is it possible to actually improve self-esteem? Precisely, that's what we're here to discuss tonight in sparking the conversation that matters. Tonight's topic is, can self-esteem be improved? So, gentlemen, whoever wants to start to get the ball rolling for the first time to address this topic, feel free to do so.
Okay, all right. So probably I will just start first. Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Issa. I'm a lifestyle and fashion coach. Okay, based about our topic tonight, right? Based on self-esteem. Before that, right, we understand what is a self-esteem. So basically, it's more like how are you feeling, whether you're feeling good or whether you're feeling down. And I think there's a different type of self-esteem. How do you feel, whether you're feeling inferior with others or whether you are in very having a balanced self-view of self, or self-believing in yourself, or whether you're very high esteem, that means you're feeling superior about to others. All right. And people with high self-esteem are often arrogant, or probably they have, just too arrogant in terms of their life. So we do not want to be too over highly self-esteem, and we just need to be just a very healthy self-esteem. Okay. All right. So basically, right, to me, right, I believe that how I can improve my own self-esteem is just to listen to yourself, be kind to yourself, and also try to actually see yourself as a challenge. And I think that also very important to look after yourself. Okay. And this is what I feel that it is good to improve on the self-esteem itself. Okay. And to give yourself a challenge, meaning, right, you do not let other people think to stop you what you're feeling. Okay. All right. And also, you need to also make sure that whatever you do in your life, you also set your own goal to increase your self-esteem. I believe in building good, self-check on yourself, basically. And this is very important. Maybe I can ask some questions to Mandd. What do you think, how do you check yourself whether to be in a very good, healthy self-esteem? Back to you, Mandd.
Hi, thank you, Nick. So yes, I am Mandd. So I'm the subconscious and breakthrough coach. So actually, the first thing first that I feel that actually people always confuse about three things: self-confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem. And people always feel that everything is actually merged together, which if we see it, yes, the effect in our life is almost interconnected. But self-worth and self-esteem is totally different. Like if you realize that when you feel happy, you feel that, oh, I'm good, I'm worth it, I'm a good person, I can do this, I can do that. But once we are down or someone say, hey man, how come you're so stupid? All of this kind of thing you also cannot. I've tell you many, many times. Then we start to have self-critics. So I feel that self-critics is the one that linked to the self-esteem. And self-confidence, of course, either we are confident or we are not confident. Either we are outspoken or we are shy. But self-esteem is the one that will always say, how come you're so stupid? How come you cannot do this? How come you always be very bad? So for my answer of what Nick asked is, when we have those critics sound that always come into my mind, then that is where the self-esteem is not as good. Because without the healthy self-critics, we will not improve. We will thought that what Nick says, like, oh, I can do everything, I am the best of everything. But in fact, I might not. So healthy self-critics need to be there. But at the same time, it must be to the level that it will not iterate us down.
Okay, great point, Mandd. You mentioned three things. One is self-worth, self-esteem. The other one is self-confidence, right?
Correct.
Okay, so perhaps you can elaborate a little bit on the self-worth part. I was just thinking, I mean, just to clarify with what you said on the self-esteem and self-confidence, confidence itself, what you said was confidence is confidence itself. There is like no other word to replace that. But for self-esteem, it's more towards your perception of yourself.
In the sense like, okay, if you see self-worth is this big, this is your worth, like this is who I am, this is what I can do, this is how I worth as a human. Self-esteem is smaller. In the sense that self-esteem is more like how I feel other people think of me, how I feel who I am, but it's not who I am. So imagine my handphone, maybe they have a worth of it, like maybe I say $1,000 or $500.
Okay.
But when this handphone go to a different person, the value or the esteem out of my phone will be different. But the self-worth is still the same. It's just that we feel that we are not good enough, we are so stupid, we are this and that. We are the one that devalue ourselves.
I believe, right, self-esteem is a one step lower, followed by self-confidence, followed by self-worth. So I think this all is that the stages that how you feel. Because I think that to have a self-esteem is a form of self-love yourself, and also a general impression of yourself. Whereas self-confidence, when you it's about the amount that you trust your level. And then when the self-worth, right, I think it's more about how it affects you yourself as well as the others. Okay, Frederick, what do you think about what we just discussed?
I thought it's amazing that you all brought up the three terms, which is self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence. I've never quite thought of these three things at one go, because to me, right, having self-confidence is similar to what self-esteem is like having self-esteem and self-worth at the same time. But I think after what Mandd actually went through with us, self-worth seemed to be your perception of yourself in totality. But self-esteem is slightly more specific from what he said. It's like your perception of yourself based on other people's judgment and your own ability and efficacy also in doing certain things. And I think self-confidence is also more like efficacy as well. I think it's something similar to that. It's like self-confidence, like having some I would say some confidence. What's the other word? Confidence in doing certain things, and you're very sure and you're very certain in the result of what you want to get, of what you're going to get. So to me, I thought the three are synonymous in a way, but it's just different ways of explaining how you perceive yourself. And I think having self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence, having a healthy dose of each one, and I agree with Nick also that having a healthy, dose of each of these three are important, so as to not go overboard by being very, very super arrogant. I don't know about that, but there's one interesting story which I heard. It's regarding the story of Dalai Lama. I'm not sure about whether you hear about this, that he had something about I don't know if it's an issue or not, but it's something relating to self-esteem, that it doesn't exist that much in Tibetan culture. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I may be wrong, but it goes something like the fact that self-esteem to him is like a Western perception or Western concept of looking at yourself. Not sure about that, but yeah, it's like to the Tibetan, it seems that there's no such thing as self-esteem. It's just the way you see yourself.
Yeah, I think it's about finding meaning, the purpose in life, and also to create something. It's more about I believe that self-esteem, right? To get your own self-esteem, right? You always put yourself to do the best, and also that I believe that giving the engage in activities, for example, that actually activities that actually satisfy yourself and you are happy. I believe is once you are happy, you have a positive vibes, and I think your self-esteem just go up. I believe in that. Yeah, and also that I think you must always check with your own every day, every morning, right? We all wake up in the morning, right? Whether you're feeling bad or feeling good, it does matter. Play a part in every day in your life. You think so?
Yeah, that one definitely. That's why self-esteem is more plastic. what I can say is if I want to grow my self-worth, I will go to study more. I will go to learn more. I will improve my worth, my value of life, like who I am. But self-esteem is so because of, okay, let's say I look at Frederick and I'm wearing this clothes. What is normally people thinking is I will think how Frederick think about me. It's not what Frederick think about me. So that part is the one that make me have a lower self-esteem. Maybe Frederick look at me smile. In his mind, actually, he say, hey, actually the suit is good. I like the color. But when I look at Frederick, my critics will say, Frederick smile. Is it the hole in my t-shirt? Is it my armpit actually sweating until the whole thing like? Then, so that's why the self-esteem is more towards a critic that come to me, but it's because of myself. It's not because of Frederick. That's why self-esteem is something that actually easily being helped. Because if we can remove our own inner critics, I will not care what Frederick actually think about me. It's more towards who I am and what I can give.
Is it true that each person has an amount of critic and angel, or is it angel devil just beside him? Like whose devil is bigger? Like whose critic is bigger, right? It's like every one of us has an angel and a devil. So it depends on which side is telling us the message, what message it is telling us, basically. How am I gonna word it? It depends on which side is telling us whatever that it wants to tell us.
Yeah, which that one actually you can even experiment it every time. It's like if you close your eyes and you think about some event in your life that you talk good about yourself, you find that the voice will be at this different position comparing to when you think a time where you feel that you actually judge yourself. The position of the voice itself that come to us, it will be surprisingly at a different position.
Yeah, it's about how you handle your criticism and also how you handle your compliments as well. So sometimes, you get too much compliments, then it's always good to be humble. Or say thank you, but don't be over arrogant. Basically, too much compliments, and basically like you just go overboard. Basically,
yeah. So I wonder, Frederick, if you see about like in astrology or in your area, is it something that self-esteem is being pinpointed as in the chart, or how is it goes about?
Yeah, actually, since birth, I would have to say that our fate and our destiny has been preordained. Sad to say, but people like to use this thing called free will, but I feel that there is also this thing called fate and destiny, and the way you're born is the way you're born, and how you're going to change it is where the free will comes in. So when you're born, you have in you, right, a set of characteristics already. And this set of characteristics is given by your parents. Unfortunately, like it or not, it's by your parents. So anything, just blame your parents, right? I'm just kidding. So when you have this characteristics in you, when you're born as a person, your birth chart actually has indicated some of the things that's relating to your self-confidence. So on the chart, let me just present a little bit of information here. Let's start with the self-esteem in astrology. So if you want to get your free birth chart, you can scan on this QR code and get your free birth chart. It will take you to a website called astro.com where you can actually key in your 3 very important information, like your birth date and your birth time, very important, and your birth location. So your birth date, birth time, birth location. The reason why you want to get these 3 details into the program is that it will help you find out what exactly are the placements that you have on your birth charts. So for the purpose of self-esteem and astrology, we look at the sun, the moon, Venus and Mars, and also the ruling planet of the first house. And as you know, the sun represents your core self. Okay, it's based on your core personality. So your sun sign, like for example, if you're born in October, you're probably a Libra or Scorpio, right? So that becomes your sun sign. That is your sun sign. And it represents your core personality, how you behave, etc. The moon represents your emotional self. It represents how you manage your emotions. And so self-esteem is about managing your own emotions also. Venus represents your relational self, how you relate to other people, how you show affection, how you love, for example. So Mars represents your assertive self, how you assert yourself. It represents passion and ambition and your drive. Sexual drive also included. Okay, so your assertion amount inside you determines your confidence level. And of course, the ruler of the first house, not going into that, it actually is the projected self. It's how you project yourself to other people, the mask you wear to the public. But today we are just going to talk about the sun and moon. So I'm just going to show you a set of examples regarding the sun and moon and how I look at it on your birth chart. So if you get your free birth charts already, right, locate where the sun is. So if you see on your birth chart, it will look something like that. So on the birth chart, there are 12 houses. So based on the 12 different houses, they represent, each of them represent different parts or different, I would say, different areas of your life. And if you look at the sun in the first house, it represents strong sense of self and identity. So if you have a sun that is placed on the first house itself, it shows that you are someone with very strong self-confidence and identity. So you're born with that. So if you would like to leverage on that, you can. And I remember that, man, you have a sun in the fifth house, which is also giving you that strong sense of personal style. All right, a strong sense of personal style, and you're very self-expressive by nature. Okay, so the last thing we look at is the sun in the 10th house. So people with the sun in the 10th house, they tend to have stronger confidence in their abilities professionally and in their career. So these are the three placements that I take notice of with regards to high self-confidence, high self-esteem as well. I'm not sure about self-worth, but self-worth is very subjective. So we look at confidence and esteem, and these are the three placements for the sun. So the following aspects are like what we are looking at. If you have all these traits, right, like your sun is in good, positive aspects. I wouldn't say good, but positive, easy aspects with Jupiter, Mars, Moon, and the ascendant, which is your first house. These are the characteristics that you tend to exhibit. So once you look at your birth chart, when you see such aspects, such interaction between your sun and the following planets as shown here, you tend to have these characteristics. Now we move on to the moon. So for the moon, what do we look for? First thing is the first house. So first house represents your self-identity, your core self, and your physical appearance. So having a moon in the first house makes you someone who is very in touch with your emotions, and you express them very confidently. The next thing is that when you have a moon in the fourth house, okay, it means that you are emotionally secure and confident also, especially at home, in your home environment. So there is a chance that you may have a strong upbringing in terms of how your family bring you up, or how your home environment shapes you into who you are, like having that secure attachment, for example. We can put that to the test, I'm not sure, but we can do that in future research. Who knows? Astrology and psychology. Okay, and when we look at the moon in the 10th house, once again, when you have a moon in the 10th house, it shows that you do have confidence in your achievement, in the way you do things. It's basically giving you that kind of competency, I would say the confidence in your competency, and you feel connected to your work emotionally, right? So these are the placements where I look at when we look at whether you're confident or not, sun and the moon. And again, when the moon is in positive aspect with Venus, Jupiter, Mars, and the sun, it goes to show that, you tend to exhibit positive emotional response and confidence. And you tend to be more optimistic. You tend to be more generous emotionally and more well-balanced. I think that's all I've got for this sharing. It's just a nugget of what I have in terms of how I look at for people with high self-confidence. I would say moderately high self-confidence, not to the arrogant level. But of course, when you do not have such placement, doesn't mean that you're not confident. When you don't have this form of placement, it shows that you've got to work on yourself. You've got to work more on your confidence level, on your self-esteem. And I myself, practically, I don't have such placement. So I grew up having low self-esteem. Right? I don't have such placement. Therefore, I do have such inkling for approval from others growing up. So that was how I managed to kind of work it out and work on myself more and more until I get to a stage where I'm confident, and I'm confident to say that I'm confident.
And how about Nick? Nick is like, if let's say for example, I'm not sure whether I have high self-esteem or low, but if I have a low self-esteem, will my way of clothing, like a color that I wear, will it help me to improve my confidence, my self-esteem?
Yes, I mean, to improve your esteem, right? You can play with colors in terms of clothing. Okay, but if you're having low esteem, I think you just don't want to. You will become like introvert. You know, you want just want to die down everything. So, and also there's even type of seven type of different type of personality of style. In terms, like for example, whether you are a very classic person, whether you are a very dramatic person, whether you are neutralist or minimalist. So basically, there's a different type of personality that's project your essentials. I mean, different type of different level of your esteem level. So once you have a different type of level of your esteem, right? So the dresses and the colors do changes. And I think that maybe one day you want to be, I want to be very sunny. Okay, a very bright color, so I'll be more cheerful. Maybe like some days, because of yesterday happens, and today your self-esteem becomes a bit low, then it becomes, you end up wanted to die down a little bit in terms of the colors of clothing that you're wearing. So it becomes more like a black or gray or brown, dark brown. So I think it's very, a bit quite boring. Yeah. Okay, how about Man? How do you handle this type of different type of self-esteem?
Okay, because on my belief, because the subconscious part is what my strength is. Everybody actually, even Frederick, Nick, or everyone that watched this show will definitely realize something. Whatever happened with us in the past is who we are now. We are the product of our perception of our past. So self-esteem, in my belief, is, let's say for example, Frederick say the first house is the sun. He's supposed to be very confident. But imagine since young, he is actually being abused and he always being put down by someone. Like it or not, he will be a very low self-esteem person. And my job is actually to help them to remove this self-critics. Imagine, that's why my belief is like, if you don't have the baggage in your life, you feel happier, you feel lighter. When I talk to someone, I always say like, imagine a kid, a very innocent kid, and you say, go up and sing to the stage. He will sing no matter how lousy his voice is. He's very confident. And when he steps down, if you ask him, how do you feel about yourself? Say, I'm very happy. I sing the best. But when that person become a very low self-esteem person, it's either the parents come to them and say, can you don't embarrass me? You can't sing. Or the teacher say, how come you sing this way? You sing worse than a cat being stepped on the tail. It's where the self-esteem will keep dropping. And it's where the self-critics will start and say, forever I will not dare to sing. So it happened throughout every single part of our life. So my belief is once I remove this event baggage, the person will naturally increase in self-esteem.
Yep. And I'd like to add on to what you just shared, because it's pretty interesting that our upbringing, our environment shapes us. Other people's approval, other people's comments and opinions about us shapes the way we think or perceive ourselves in a way. And based on our birth chart, like you said, a person having a sun placement in the first house, for example, by right, he or she supposed to have very high self-confidence, very self-assured. We also have to look at other areas of the chart. In totality, we look at the whole entire birth chart. So if there's any placement on the birth chart that signifies certain developments in their life, for example, home upbringing, for example, phobias. Phobias, we look at the 8th house, we look at that particular area because it represents fear and how we handle fear. And so when this person is growing up, for example, this person might encounter certain life encounters, that certain situation that caused him or her to sort of develop that kind of phobia, and that phobia kind of lasted this person till this day or till present day, and it's still not solved. And so we need people like you, Mandd, to kind of like reprogram, to reprogram the person, so to speak, in a way, because the birth chart, although it talks about what you have been preordained. It is an indicator. It's something like a guide to show everybody, or to show you that that you have got certain issues, not just certain good stuff. Yeah. So sometimes the issues, right, that a person has can overpower the good stuff that the person has, also based on the birth chart also. Yeah, and which goes to show that this person has a lot of baggage, or a lot of things to work on. Yeah, at the end of the day, and yeah, and we all have issues. We all have things to work on.
That's true. That's true. Yes, Nick, you want to say something?
Yeah.
So in terms of the conclusions, right, I feel that each of us have a different type of esteem. Every day also is a different esteem. Every second, actually, it's just testing your own different type of esteem. Whether you are in a low or medium or healthy, I believe that if you know how to balance yourself in terms of your emotions, it helps a lot in your life. Yeah, no matter what. Even have a smallest one. I mean, okay, I need to do this, or I need to do that. Just a thinking of that, right? I think your self-esteem is quite balanced to me. Yeah.
Right. So as a closing, is there anything else before we close that any one of us wants to add anything to the discussion?
Is there any question from the?
Oh, let me just see.
We'll take it from here anyway. So. All right, so it looks like we got to give this a close. Thanks everyone for sharing. Thanks, gentlemen. This is our first inaugural episode. I'm so glad to have you guys on this live show, and amazing. It's amazing. We're gonna have our next live show, and it would be Friday, right? It will be every Friday from now on.
Yep.
Yes, Friday at 9 p.m.
Friday 9 p.m. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, Friday at 9 p.m. Check us out. Tune in on the new You Talk Show. And my name is Frederick. You can look for us. Okay, you can look for us in our page, in our Facebook page, which is called The New You. The link is attached in the description above, below for YouTube, above for Facebook. Yeah. All right. So have a great night and a great weekend, and we will all see you next week. Yeah, and we will release the title soon, and it will be a surprise until then. Okay, so see you all.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye.